Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be doing the Elecfreaks experiment number 1 LED. Just to let you know, for this experiment you're going to need two 100 ohm resistors. Those are the resistors that are kind of beige color that do not have a red line down the middle. You're also going to need 4 cables. I'm using 2 black cables here for ground and 2 orange cables for power, but it doesn't matter which colors that you use. And in addition, I've got 2 LEDs. When you first get your resistor, they're going to be long and straight like this. You need to take it and bend the legs, and they bend quite easily. I recommend trying to come in really close there, so that way they bend close to the actual resistor itself. And you can use a resistor like this with the long legs, or if you have a pair of wire cutters, you can cut them. I try and cut them down to they're about 1/4 inch long. If you do not have wire cutters, I do not recommend cutting them with household scissors because they're metal and they can leave a little gash in your scissors, so that's not a good thing. In addition, when you're working with the LEDs, you're going to notice there's one leg that's a little bit longer than the other. I usually take that longer leg, bend it out just a little bit like this, and that way I know my bent leg is going to be my positive leg, and my shorter leg is going to be my negative leg when I'm working with an LED. And we can see that here when I tilt over my breadboard, you can see that I've got that bent leg as the positive leg, the shorter leg is the negative leg. Now, when you're wiring this up, what you're going to need to do is starting in column number 2, which is pin 0 on the microbit. Column 2 is running here to column number 20. That runs up through a 100 ohm resistor that crosses the river, and that runs to the long leg on that LED. Then the next one here is pin number 1, which is column number 3. That runs from column number 3 over to column number 17. Once again, we have a 100 ohm resistor that crosses the river, and that goes to the longer leg on the LED, which once again, that is column 17. Then for the ground wires, so here's G. Both of these ground wires are in column number 2. The lower one is starting in column number 2, and it runs over to column number 19. Column number 19 runs up there to the shorter leg on the LED. And then over here, also in column number 2, which lines up with the ground, column number 2 is running over to column number 16. And at column number 16, once again, that is the short leg on my LED. And that's how I've wired this circuit together. So let's head over to MakeCode, and let's see how we program to get these 2 lights blinking like this. All right, here I am in MakeCode. This program's not going to use the start loop, so I'm just going to drag that and get that off my screen here. And we're only going to be using the forever loop in this experiment. The first thing we need is a digital write pin 0 to 0. We can find any of the pins under advanced, and if we scroll down to pins, at the very top here we have a digital write pin 0 to 0. I'm going to drag that and put that in my forever loop. The next thing it wants under pins is a digital write pin 1 to 1. So I'm going to drop this down, switch this to pin 1, and switch this to a 1. So anytime that we're dealing with a digital write, they only have 2 states, either a 0 or a 1. A 0 means that is off, a 1 means that is on with full voltage. So this is kind of like turning on and off a light switch in your house. After that, I need a pause, which is under basic. Have to scroll down a bit. There's my pause, and they want that to be ½ a second or 500 milliseconds. All right, after that, we're going to do another digital write. So back to pins, digital write, and this one's going to switch pin 0 to 1. So that's going to turn on pin 0. After that, there's another digital write, and that one's going to switch pin 1 to 0. Pin 1 to 0, which is correct there. And as we can see now, we've got these rotating back and forth, but we don't have that final pause. That's why it's kind of jumping back and forth quickly. So I'm going to go down to pause, switch that to 500 milliseconds. And now we should be able to see in the emulator here, it alternating back and forth between those 2 lights. And I could take this program now and download it to my microbit, or I could modify it and maybe I make it do those lights when I press button A or button B, or maybe I even add another one here. Like let's say, for example, if I wanted to take this and put it in a button A, so input, button A, I could take this code, put it down there. When the emulator comes back up, I could press button A, and I see it rotate between those lights, but now you notice it left the first light on. So if I wanted to do that, I might want to add one more step after this where it goes back to pins. And then we're going to do another digital write pin 1, or pin 0 in this case, and set it to 0. And now when I press my A button, it'll cycle the lights once and then turn them off. Or I could even go into my loops and I could do a repeat here. And let's make it so it repeats that 4 times. And then after it does it 4 times, it turns the light off again outside of the repeat. Let's press A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and both lights are off. So that's a couple of really easy ways that you could modify this, or just use the default program that's on page number 2 of your manual. Good luck with experiment number 1.